Honorable members, let me at the outset express my deep gratitude for the unanimous approval of the approach paper for the 8th plan accorded by the last meeting of the National Development Council. I am happy to report that in pursuance of the objectives laid down in the approach paper, the Planning Commission has taken up the formulation of the draft plan. Official level discussions with the state governments as well as central ministries are in progress. The idea now is to complete the work on the draft plan for consideration by the Council well before the presentation of the central and state budgets for next year. As we get down to the details, major problems are coming up. The most difficult one is the balance of payments and resources crunch caused by the events in the Gulf. The direct and indirect impact of the Gulf crisis on our economy and the 8th plan efforts are well known. Though the problem is very serious, it is obvious by now that we have to tackle it mostly on our own. In Washington, at the meeting of the Interim Committee and Development Committee, the impact of the Gulf crisis figured prominently in the discussions. However, it has become apparent that no special assistance for countries like India is likely to be put in place. Fortunately, the Interim Committee, which is the highest policy-making body in the International Monetary Fund, is likely to act on our suggestion to modify the financing facility, which is meant to compensate our export shortfall and increase in certain import prices. However, the relief from this source is likely to be relatively small in relation to the size of our problem. So we have to take hard measures on our own. We have to take measures to reduce consumption and imports of oil which we can no longer afford. We have to take measures to correct the likely fiscal impact. We have to redouble our efforts to increase exports and to reduce imports. We also have large aid in the pipeline which lies unutilized. Here the state governments can play a particularly helpful role as many projects are in the state sector. The times ahead are going to be hard and call for sacrifices from all of us. This is the foremost challenge facing the nation today and we should not be found wanting in meeting it. The central government will appeal to state governments to help in this national effort and to prepare our people for meeting the adverse economic impact of the Gulf crisis on our economy. When we request the states to join the center in accepting the hard options, we are not brushing aside the special problems that states have to face. In the context of the 8th plan formulation, the biggest difficulty faced by almost all states is in the area of financial resources. Though the center is in no better position in this regard, we propose to give the states maximum possible help. I know that all states are keen to know the total amount of central assistance for state plans. We in the Planning Commission and the Finance Ministry are trying to do the maximum in this regard. Though the present assessment is that overall financial resources availability for the public sector plan will be only around 80% higher than 7th plan resources, we are striving to see whether the amount of central assistance could be around 90% higher in nominal terms. As I propose to explain a little later, we are also trying to give the states better flexibility in the system of assistance for centrally sponsored schemes. The next step is to see whether any change is required in the pattern of distribution of that assistance. You have all seen the paper circulated for today's meeting. I am sure that you will have your own suggestions and alternatives. We shall welcome them. The considerations which weighed with the Commission in formulating the limited number of options given in the paper are detailed there. No doubt there are other equally important aspects for consideration and let us together think of the optimum choice. But I would stress on just one aspect. In all the options given in the paper, fiscal management finds a place. The enlarged concept as against the limited tax effort concept is based on a comparison of the assurances that are given by state governments at the time of plan formulation with the actual performance.